Hey guys, Jacqueline here with Zenith Home Loans. Thank you for joining me for another of our interview series. Today, I'm super excited to introduce you to Katie Jones of Hey Love Photography. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, it's my
So
pleasure.
absolutely, I'm super excited to chat with you because I know we've done a lot with you as far as the photography side of things with some family photo projects. So why don't you just take a couple minutes, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about why you are in this industry, and then we'll jump into some questions that we have for you.
Yeah, pretty simple. I mean, obviously, I love photography. I love photos. I have been doing this for 14 years now. I started right out of college. I switched my major, funny enough, in college. I wanted to be a neurosurgeon, go to med school. Super fascinated in all that, but I'm a pretty driven, like task-oriented person and wasn't doing great in school. So I was like, this not doing well is not something's wrong if I'm not doing well. And so my dad is actually the person who encouraged me to kind of shift careers and do photography. And I was like, photography is not a job. I can't do that. It's just something that's a passion. And he's like, yes, you can. And so I did it. And yeah, have been doing it ever since. And I love it. I think, sometimes people get stressed out with family photos or with weddings and things of like, having to be perfect and that this isn't like, this is just this like one little section of life. But I think what I love about family photos and just taking photos in general is just trying to experience a moment and then seeing it later to kind of burn it into your brain. It's just a way to remember the things that are so easy to forget, the really little things. And when as an outsider of that, I feel like I can capture a lot of those little in-betweens more than just like, this is how we looked at age 6 and age 30 or whatever, but just like those little in-between things that you forget a lot. And that's what I love.
That's awesome. That's a cool story. I didn't know that's how you got into this. So,
Yeah.
and you've recently
Funny.
launched your own company essentially too, right?
Yeah, it's awesome. It has been, I just hit my year anniversary in July. I
Okay.
worked for another company for the last 13 years, which was awesome. Killer company, great people, learned a lot. But, COVID, like a lot of people, had changed things for me and really being able to spend time with my schedule more. I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, and that freedom was pretty invigorating. And so just making that shift into being able to really put all of my heart and all the things that I know into my own thing and build that legacy for myself and my kids. I'll just be more flexible with my time and really intentional with when I do things, has allowed me. I mean, I just went on a 2-week road trip vacation in the middle of summer, which I can't tell you is like non-existent for me before. So
Yeah,
really
that's
cool.
awesome. That's awesome. Okay, awesome. Let's jump into some questions that I have for you. So the first one is, what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to family pictures? Does anything immediately come to mind?
Oh yeah, for sure. The biggest do is relax and have fun and enjoy it. I think we get really caught up in it being like this perfect thing that we have to have the perfect outfits and the kids have to be in the right mindset. And so we kind of create all this stress around it. When if you go in to spend time with your family and then let me direct and capture and do that, you're going to love the photos so much more anyway. You're going to love the time that you spent together. I'm going to capture much more relaxed moments. Your kids are going to be happier because they feed off of your energy too. So trying to just enjoy yourself instead of it being a thing that you have to do, think of it more as like we're going to spend an hour just dedicated to hanging out with each other. And whatever happens is okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. Anything that you recommend people don't do?
Don't match too much. Jeans and white t-shirts are out.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's for sure my don't.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say don't put too much pressure on your children to smile.
Uh-huh.
In whatever age they are, in the course of an hour, kids are gonna, I mean, all of us are gonna smile and not smile and come in and out of it. We don't stay in this constant state forever.
Right.
It's my job to create an environment where you guys are having fun, and I will get your kids to smile. I
Yeah.
can guarantee that, like,
Yes.
as long as you're having fun. But
Yeah.
again, it's that like stress that just if you let go, turns out a lot better. So
Yeah.
and not matching, obviously.
That's a good point. How often should you do family photos? Is this something that people should always do once a year? Does it matter, or kind of what's your thoughts, or how often do you take family photos for one individual family?
So typically it's once a year, and then I would say there's some big milestones. So obviously capturing certain events are big for people. But that first year is a good chunk milestone. So some people do maternity. I like maternity photos. Some people feel like once you do it once, you don't need to see the bump a bunch of times, but it's really cute to see how kids interact with that. Really, the biggest change you're going to see is for sure within the first year. So newborn 6-month year photos, I definitely recommend. And then once a year after that, because kids are always changing, whether it's physically or just mentally and shaping, like your relationship with them changes. And so, yes, we all do family photos to get a card, but really for me, again, it's to remember how your kids work at, stages in life, not just how they look. Do you have a million to get that interaction with you guys? I think once a year is good.
Yeah. Awesome. When looking for a photographer, are there some good questions that I should ask so that I make sure that I'm making the best selection when setting something like a family photography session up?
Yeah, I think when looking for a photographer, there are two things. Obviously, you want to look at their style and if you like it, right? Editing style is a huge part of that. And that's a lot of people don't know that photos, not a question you have to ask, but just making sure you look at their website and stuff and you see, do you like the colors and the stuff like that?
Okay.
More than the skill of the shoots. But question wise, I think just kind of getting a sense of how a shoot is going to run, asking like, well, how do you like guide us? How do you pose us? How do you direct us? Those kinds of things. And it's less directly about the answer and more the most important thing in hiring a photographer for anything, any event, any family photos, just like your classic yearly ones or big events like weddings, bar mitzvahs, things like that, is you want to be comfortable with that person. That person is going to be in your face, in your space all day. They're going to be playing with your kids. They're going to be interacting with you. And so for me, I always tell people it's a gut reaction. If you don't like me, if you can't go get a cup of coffee with me or a beer, then don't hire that person, because you, again, it goes back to what I said in the beginning, is you want to be relaxed. You want to be enjoying yourself. The point of photos is to capture you in your real state. And so many people tell me, oh, I look terrible in photos, or we've gotten family photos and I'm so awkward. Well, to be honest, the reason that you're awkward is because you feel uncomfortable. And I do that all the time. I am like this in photos. A lot of the time, it literally has taken me years to relax and enjoy photos. I do on it. But like, you look so much better when you feel comfortable and good. So that's what I say when picking somebody, is just make sure you connect with them at least a little bit.
Okay. That's super helpful.
Yeah.
What can I do to help make the session go as smooth as possible? I feel like you've kind of in a roundabout already addressed this, as far as making sure that we're selecting the right people, understanding how the flow is going to go, and not putting any added pressure on kids and things like that. But is there anything else that I, as either a parent or just somebody who's going to be a participant in said photo session, whether it's family photos or weddings or anything like that, that I can do to make sure that it's going to go smooth? Or is it mostly just kind of chill out, relax, take the photos? It's not, it's
I
not,
mean, I think
it's not the only photo
pre-planning
that's
is-
ever going to be taken.
Right. But I think pre-planning is a good thing, like you
Okay.
said. So time is a big part of it with family photos. There are a lot of photographers who will only shoot at golden hour,
Okay.
which, don't get me wrong, I love golden hour. That's the last, like right before sunset. It's the prettiest light of the day. Everybody
Mhm.
loves that. Everybody looks good in that light. If you can do that, great. Prep your kids, prep your spouses or whoever to do that. So
Okay.
going into it, picking outfits where sure you look good, but that you're going to feel good in.
Mhm.
Us ladies tend to do that where we have this idea of this super great outfit that we're going to wear. And then while we're in it, we're tugging at it and we're like, bleh. You want to wear something that you feel good in. Same with your kids. Like,
Mhm.
that they're not itching and all that thing. So prepping
Okay.
that, food and naps for children is the biggest thing. You
Yeah.
want to do a session after they've eaten and after they've slept.
Okay.
So I don't always push for golden hour because I'm more you're going to like the photos better if your kids are happy and you're
Mhm.
not trying to, get them to, and fighting with them being fussy and tired and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So if we can get them to a place for that later light, then let's do that. That's usually like making sure they've slept well that day. So doing all of your early prep during the day, depending
Right.
on what age your kids are,
Right.
schedule a photo session with your teenage kids when they've had to get up super early for school and then they've had football after school and then they're exhausted by the time
Yeah.
we do photo sessions.
Okay.
Like that goes for any age group. So sleep, eating, comfort, and then just like talk to your kids about and your spouses too. Like I get a lot of dads who hate photos. It's an
My husband
hour of your
hates photos.
time. I get mine does too. And he has to do 3 sessions a year because I do our family, I do both sides of our family, and that's like a minimum. So
Yeah.
I'm like, get over it.
Yeah.
But really, it's again, I'm like, just be with me, just be here with me, and like, let us do this. But like talking to each other, like, I don't need you to be somebody you're not going to be. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for you to just hang out with me.
Mhm.
Yes, hopefully you like that person, and it'll
Right.
be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's super helpful. Let's see, you already gave us some tips for taking photos with small children, with making sure they've napped and eaten and anything. Let's see if we can reword this a little bit. Do you recommend bringing snacks to the photo session for the kids for said potential
Yes.
meltdown? Because they're kids, let's face it, they're going to melt
Yes.
down. Okay.
Yes. I always ask ahead of time, but I bring gum, like fruit snacks,
Mhm.
or little M&Ms or candies or whatever you guys, the parents feel comfortable with.
Mhm.
Yes, I am fully not opposed to bribes personally.
Right.
I let that as a parent do whatever they think is right. But bribes, like you get pizza or you get ice cream or something after this entire shoot, works age based. So
Mhm.
the older kids that can work with, younger kids don't understand that time. They're in what they're in right now. They don't
Right.
understand what an hour from now is like. So yeah,
Right.
having little gummies, like, great, let's do this and let's have a gummy. For me, again, it's my process that I think is more helpful with keeping kids engaged. So
Yeah.
I really make sure that we read the situation. So that's kind of setting the stage for expectations of like, let's go into this. We're in a new place. How old is your kid? What are we going to start with? Like, usually I start with talking to the kid, playing with the kid a little bit. Honestly, does not take that much. If instead of us going right into photo time and having it to be chore time with any child, whatever age they are, if you just start by like kind of breaking down those barriers and having a little bit of fun, that's a big thing.
Mhm.
And then as we go through, incentives, I think are good things as well. And that's whatever you feel comfortable with as a parent and whatever works for your kids, whether it's a gummy each time they smile or whether
Mhm.
it's ice cream at the end or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I think that works.
Yeah, no, that's good. That
I
helps.
say do
'Cause-
it.
Yeah, no, I'm
Also
like,
for parents, sometimes the dads get hangry or the moms. I'm a
Yeah.
hangry person.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't hurt to, go have a beer before
yeah, just
your
have a little
session
cocktail.
if you need it.
Yeah. I
It's not
mean,
a problem.
start packing some little tiny shooters in your camera bag, right?
I didn't say it. You do you.
I'll take responsibility for that one.
I need one beer before a photo session, or like a chocolate, something that just like gets me out of my own head. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you wish people would stop doing? I'm guessing it's matching too much.
Yeah, I mean, most of my clients don't do that so much.
Mhm.
Honestly, what I wish people would stop doing is getting in their kids' faces and telling them to smile, 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 smile. It's just like, again, it all goes back to the same thing. I feel like I just chill out and have fun. It'll be great. I promise.
What do you wish?
Is bad.
Yeah. Okay. So then I have a follow-up question to the matching stuff. So what about is there anything, so obviously I don't want to wear the exact same thing that everybody else is wearing because that gets weird. The color coordination between the outfits, is that really important to try to coordinate like that? Or does it's hey, just wear what you want to wear as long as it's we're all somewhat dressed up or we're all casual, that kind of thing. Does the coordination of the outfits really matter in the overall aesthetic of the photos, do you think?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Are you still gonna like your photos if your family is dressed in the clothes that they're dressed in?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
Visually, just from a visual standpoint of people, you looking at photos and other people's photos and stuff like this. Yes, there's always, with all art forms, you notice, even if you don't know what you're noticing, you will notice color coordination and, a flow and color story and stuff like that. So I always recommend picking a color palette and then going from there. So instead of saying, okay, everybody wears denim and white, you're like, okay, here's 5 colors or 3 colors. And in some range, pick an outfit that has these tones in it. They don't have to be exactly the same color blue. They don't have to be, you don't have to have every single color in there. So typically I'm like, you want a dark and a light neutral. Okay. Then you want 2 medium neutral colors that are more like colors. So dark and light neutral, I'm thinking like a dark brown or a denim or a black. Your light is like your cream, your tans, your light grays. Then you have your 2 color neutrals, like the mossy greens, or blues and stuff like that. And then you have 1 pop color. So pop colors are your brighter, your reds, your pinks, your yellows, your oranges. What stand out in photos if you decide not to do a whole color matching coordination thing is when you have the one person who wears their orange shirt. And so your eye is directly going to go to that, or your bright red. So having everybody kind of have similar tones and stuff, that's just going to kind of bring the photo together. It's when they're sporadic, your eye is just going to start to bounce around. So that's where it kind of matters. Sometimes I have kids show up in their bright orange and blue tennis shoes. And yes, you for sure notice it. Is it a problem? No, but it definitely, it makes the photo cleaner if you have and you tend to react to it better.
Okay. Got it. That's helpful a lot because I feel like everybody's probably getting ready for all of these family photo sessions. So, and that's not ever something I thought of. I'm always just here, I'm going to wear this red sweater. And then I just fold up 5 shirts to mine of my husband's. And I'm like, you can wear this one kind of thing.
Right. Well, and it depends on the size of the family too.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
Like a kid, you can get away with more as a smaller family than you can as a big family. You have everybody in blue and then there's that one person who's in green and you're like
oh,
you just stand out more than everybody else.
Yeah.
So
what is your favorite photo session to do?
like type of photo session?
Yeah. So like, do you prefer family, engagement,
Oh,
newborn, wedding, all
I
of them?
can't answer that. Yeah, it bounces for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I love kids so
Mhm.
much. I always have loved kids. So newborn sessions, I mean, there's really nothing better than holding the baby. I like just get to like hold and cuddle the baby, and then seeing the siblings, if you have siblings with them. I think just having gone through that and seeing that connection
Mhm.
is really amazing. And my husband gets mad because he's like, we're not having more babies, Katie. Maybe you need to stop doing newborn sessions.
You're like, I'm
But
fine. I'm just gonna go hold
I
him. It's fine.
it's no big deal. It's gonna be fine. No, I love playing with kids. I always say my age is an average of my real ages of like a 5-year-old and like a 70-year-old woman.
Mhm.
Because like I love running around. I love playing with the kids. So that to me is really, really fun and seeing those connections. Um, but then like their weddings are so special. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like they
Mhm.
happen once, seeing the love, seeing all your favorite people come together and meet your other favorite people in worlds where they never would have met or connected before, to me blows
Mhm.
my mind.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, that's a terrible question.
No, that's a
Or
great
not a
answer.
terrible question, terrible answer. I can't say, but mostly weddings, engagements, and families are my favorite.
Mhm.
Headshots I will do, and they're kind of fun depending, meeting interesting people like your
Yeah.
dad, who I just met.
Right.
I didn't know was your dad, but
Yeah.
very cool. Um, but like I like less corporate stuff and more
Yeah.
stuff where I can just be kind of, you know,
Have
fun
fun.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That makes
So
sense. How far in advance should I try to book photos? Especially this time of year, I'm sure you get inundated with family photo session requests. Like, what's a good timeline to get something booked? If I want, like, I guess, and maybe specify a little bit, like, what's a standard turnaround for, okay, we've had our photos and you can expect to have them back in this kind of a time frame.
yeah, so every photographer is different with turnaround times. My turnaround time for family photos is 2 weeks.
Okay.
And for like weddings and stuff is a month. So in order to get things printed, designed, printed, and shipped out, that then you want to think about that.
Mhm.
Most people want their fall photo, they want photos for their Christmas cards,
Mhm.
which you're sending out around Thanksgiving or the first week of December. So you
Mhm.
really want to have those done at the very latest, like the first week of November is what I would
Okay.
recommend to that.
Okay.
Fall is the by far the most popular time of the year,
Mhm.
both
Mhm.
with weather and with colors in Colorado.
Mhm.
So I personally schedule out 2 fall family session days,
Mhm.
where we go to one spot with all the pretty fall colors, and then you can
Mhm.
pick a slot in there. So I
Mhm.
have 2 of those scheduled, and I schedule those in January. And so you
Okay.
can start booking those whenever.
Okay.
Um, but really, if you want fall times, um, like, and when I say fall, I mean fall colors, which is about 3 weeks. It's
Mhm.
the end of September to the third week in October is the
Mhm.
optimal fall color
Mhm.
for Denver. If you want it within that time, you probably need to be booking somewhere in like May or June
Okay. Okay.
at the latest.
Okay.
If you're cool with doing one of those, fall session days, then sometimes you can book a little bit later than that. But if you want like a personalized session, otherwise, it really just depends on the month.
Okay.
So I would say July and September are the most popular months. So weekends are usually gone in both of those, around May. But if you're flexible, the summer is great because the sun sets later, right? So
Uh-huh.
some of my sessions we start at 7 p.m., so
Mhm.
you can do after work, you have enough time to get home and shower or do whatever you need to do.
Right.
So that's kind of a hard answer.
Yeah.
But typically what I do is you just need to just have the expectations of being a little bit flexible. So
Yeah.
when somebody would reach out to me, I would give them a bunch of dates. And then if none of those works, I would say, please, tell me what dates you're available or what kind of days. And then let's kind of work together to figure out
Mhm.
how to get you in.
Yeah.
But weekends in the fall they book out pretty early.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Awesome. Well, I know we're short on time today for both of our schedules. So that's actually all of the questions that we had. But is there any last minute or kind of final thoughts or anything that maybe we didn't cover that you always just wish that people knew about photography or anything like that? We'll follow up with all of your contact information. That way, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to schedule a session, that they can. But any last pieces of advice for people that you want to make sure they know about before we part today?
I would say my advice is do it.
Yeah.
You don't get those moments back. It's
Yeah.
really easy to skip,
Mhm.
especially because we think of it as so much as this like cookie cutter curated thing.
Mhm.
But I think if you treat it and realize it's like really just time to capture your connections with your family
Mhm.
at that moment in time, I think it's something that later in life you'll really appreciate having more
Mhm.
than I think that you realize. And
Yeah.
instead of being on the other side of the camera where we think we're experiencing it a lot, you know, with our phones and stuff like that, but in
Mhm.
reality, like it's so rare to be able to just think about nothing but
Mhm.
being for 1 hour, but being literally right there with the
Yeah.
people that you love. You're not taking photos, you're not thinking about where you have to go to work, you don't have anything else to do right then. Like that, just that moment presence, I think creates really amazing moments that you don't realize will happen. And then the photos are there just to remember that. And
Yeah.
you know, as life goes on, I've unfortunately hard things happen.
Mhm.
And like I just see it way more valuable than I even used to. Is like, I wish I did this more. I wish
Yeah.
I had more photos where
Mhm.
I was literally just hanging out with this person as opposed to me being on the other side, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
looking through.
I
So
love that. That's beautiful. Thank you
yeah,
so much
you're
for your time
welcome.
today. This was
Yeah,
awesome.
it's good to
And
talk to you.
yeah, you too. Thank you for joining us. And like I said, I'll include all of Katie's information in the dialogue for our presentation today. That way you guys can get in touch with her. But again, Katie, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.